According to United Nations Population Fund, it is expected that this figure by 2050 will show it's around 400 million people. Thus, it is not surprised that the country generates over 32 million tons of waste annually, which makes the country the seventh largest waste polluter in the world. And it is believed that less than 30% of all this waste that we produce is being recycled, while the rest ends up in our landfills, in our beaches, as well as water bodies. Taking a look at the largest city in the country, Lagos, with an estimated population of 24 million people, Lagos also generates around 13,000 tons of waste daily, according to Lagos State Waste Management Agency, LOMA. Nigeria urgently needs to transform its environment in response to climate change and its burgeoning population. Its economy, to us, yes, it's at risk as the world transits from fossil fuels towards post-petroleum era of green energy, being one of the largest exporter of oil in Africa. To this end, that's the essence why the Business Membership Association, the foremost in Nigeria, that's NECA, it's holding this knowledge sharing series with the theme Circular Economy, the Business Opportunities, and Green Job Creation for Private Sector. Like I mentioned earlier, we have subject experts that will be looking at the theme as well as the sub-theme in this knowledge sharing session. My name is Olushola Ayodele. I head the Research and Economics units for NECA, and I'll be your anchor for today. Just to lay the rules for participation today, you'll observe that all participants' microphone has been muted. So during the interactive session, we will open it for those that have comments or questions. So we employ that as we're having those presentations, kindly put your questions or comments in the chat box. We will call you and give you the mic to speak when the time comes. So to kickstart this session this morning, I would like to bring to fore the Director General of the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, Mr. Adewale Smart Oyeride, for his opening remarks. DG, you have the floor, please. DG, you have the floor.
Perhaps we move to the next one. DG takes his remark later on.
Okay, Mr. Thompson, you can step in for the DG. Mr. Pabi, you have the floor.
Good morning, everybody. So nice of you to join us on this particular call. I believe my DG will join us. He's already on the call, but probably there's a bit of network issue. But I bring you greetings from the NECA family, from my Director General, Mr. Adewale Smart Oyerinde. I want to thank you all for joining. Already we have 35 people on this call, and we do believe that as the call continues, several others will join. Today we are speaking on a very interesting part of the green economy. We're looking at the private sector, and we're looking at it in the holistic format. While speaking on this green economy, please let's take note of the fact that there are a couple of opportunities, not just for the private sector, but for the public sector and the entirety of the Nigerian environment. Apart from the fact that in the green economy, there's a lot of reduction in environmental risks, pollution, there's also a business opportunity that we can harness. And there's also the health opportunity for the sake of the environment and every one of us working in this country called Nigeria. I'd like to commend all resource persons and faculties. My colleague Shola did allude to that, and also will be welcoming them and using the floor for their various presentations. In form of a remark, let me thank all the council members that are on this call with us and wish the participants a fruitful engagement. We look forward to a wonderful engagement as we continue in this particular call. On that note, I want to say thank you so very much and good morning. Shola, please take over. Proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Pabi, for that brief remarks. We appreciate you. Like I said earlier, what we are looking at this, it's the opportunities that are inherent in the climate, in the green economy. For us this morning, we have representative from the International Labour Organization, who is representing the director for ILO in Nigeria, Mr. Stephen Agugwa, to give us a topic on promoting green jobs in circular economy. Just a brief about Mr. Agugwa. Stephen Agugwa is an environment, sustainability and climate change specialist with more than 12 years experience. His ambition is to support governments, organizations, and corporate businesses with better sustainability and safeguards performance. He specializes in environmental and social impact assessments with wide technical and management experience. He has worked and consulted for various organizations, including the United Nations, international development organizations, NGOs, private consulting firms, and government agencies on national and regional projects. His experience covers a wide range of subjects with major focus on sustainability and climate change mitigation and adaptation. He is skilled in intercultural communication, policy review, research, and technical reporting. Mr. Agugwa holds Master of Science degree in Urban Management and Development, specializing in environment, sustainability, and climate change from Erasmus University Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Currently, he is a doctoral student at the Center of Sustainable Development, University of Abuja. He works for the International Labour Organization as the National Coordinator for the Just Transition and Green Jobs for Nigeria projects. I welcome Mr. Stephen Agugwa to make his presentation on promoting green jobs in circular economy. Mr. Agugwa, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Olusola. I bring greetings from the director of ILO, Dr. Donata Pala, who is unavoidably absent from this occasion today. As you have known, ILO has had a very good partnership with NECA, and we are happy to be in this forum, and we enjoy all to pay attention and listen so that we can discuss further. My distinguished audience, ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely welcome you to this important NECA forum designed to share knowledge on the topic, circular economy, the business opportunity, and green jobs creation for private sector. I would like to give kudos to the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA, and the Natural Eco Capital for organizing this event and championing the promotion of harmonious business environment to engender productivity and prosperity in the Nigerian business sector. As you may have known, the International Labour Organization is a global leader in labor and employment issues and have worked with NECA over the years to tackle some of the most pressing employment challenges in Nigeria. However, as the world drifts towards green economy, we are therefore of the view that Nigeria should not be left behind. I urge you leaders of industry sectors here today to champion innovative initiative towards circularity for your various organizations. We are happy to note that in this resolve, there is additional privilege of access to the support and guidance of the international community and development partners, notably the International Labour Organization, as we journey together to create a greener future. Ladies and gentlemen, today, as you have known, NECA have requested that ILO throw more light on the topic promoting green jobs in a circular economy. This is understandably recognizing the global role ILO is playing in encouraging businesses to embrace environmental sustainability and creation of green jobs. Indeed, we are delighted to use this opportunity to do what we know how to do best. I will now address the issues relating to green jobs in a circular economy, taking a brief insight at the following. First of all, we look at circular economy. What is it? And we also go into the need for circular economy and environmental sustainability. Why do we need them? Why do we have to do them? Also, we take a brief look at maximizing the opportunities, because I believe this is one of the main issues that is critical to this topic, because we need to maximize the opportunity, and maximizing this opportunity centers on creation of green jobs. And lastly, we take a brief look at the business sustainability. So circular economy is a model for sustainability in production and consumption, by which national governments, social partners, and international development institutions are seeking to move away from extract, manufacture, use, and discard model. We know that this is the linear model that has been in place for years, and which is also causing some of the problems we know today. Toward the solution to environmental crisis of our time, the circular economy can be seen as the most recent attempt to intertwine growth imperative with environmentalism in a sustainable manner. That is, we're shifting to circular economy, whereby we are looking at bringing in growth, maximizing the opportunity, environmental sustainability, which we believe is a total package. Circular economy embraces activities in reuse, repair, and refurbishment, rental, and recycling. To transition to a circular economy, the principle of decent work and social justice must be embedded in circular policies to address inequalities. Circular economy practices have the potential to contribute directly to achieving several of the environmental and economic sustainable development goals under United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as well as climate target under the 2015 Paris Agreement. Several regions and countries are therefore putting circularity and sustainable consumption and production at the center of their policy efforts. Now, what we need now, the world is shifting towards circularity. The UN Agenda for Sustainable Development 2030 is uppermost in our mind. We also know that the Paris Agreement, all these things are gearing towards limiting climate change impact, and the circular economy is one of the ways where this can be achieved. Now, when we look at the need for circular economy and environmental sustainability, the circular economy also promotes the development of new business model and design standard for product and tailored for repair, durability, and reuse. A key element of accessing circular business model include non-financial value creation, in particular, positive environmental impact. Now, what we mean is that by embracing circular economy, we can have positive environmental impact, these are the non-financial aspect of it. But by embracing circular economy, there are also a financial reward, which we might see later. There are several motivations, material and non-material, that drive companies to build circular business model. And while most of the non-material driving forces notably resolve around environmental issues, one concept underpinning the circular economy is to dematerialize consumption and accelerating the shift from an economy based on manufacturing to one based on servicing. Now, what we're saying here is that by shifting from major manufacturing practices to servicing, we can also dematerialize consumption, thereby also leading to circularity. And it is therefore essential to ensure that the transition to circular economy is a just transition, fully taking into account the social implication of economic restructuring with a particular focus on social justice, decent work promotion, poverty elimination, and inequality reduction. Now, when we're also thinking of circular economy, we're also thinking of just transition, and how to bring this into full is that we also look at the social justice aspect of it, decent work. We know that even if we are creating green jobs, we need to make them decent. And this can also go toward eliminating poverty and also inequality. Then one of the needs why we need to focus on circular economy now is reduction of climate change impact. We have also mentioned environmental aspect of it. Studies show that through efficient and more circular use of material in just 4 key industrial materials, cement, steel, plastic, and aluminum, circular economy strategies can help reduce global greenhouse emission by 40% by 2050. Then circular economy strategies could slow down nature degradation by reducing the demand for virgin materials, decreasing pressure on ecosystems that improve climate adaptation, such as mangrove protection against flood or forest regulating temperatures. These are some of the good practices we can get from circular economy, like protecting the environment, reducing depletion of materials, and the rest of them. Now, we also look at resource efficiency. While resource efficiency is an important aspect of circular economy concept, it helps avoid depletion, degradation, or collapse of ecosystem. It can also bring immediate economic benefit through reduced input cost and less dependent on volatile commodity prices. Now, when we talk of resource efficiency, we know that companies use electricity, they use water, they use material. So these materials have to be managed effectively so that we don't waste them. That by doing so, we are reducing consumption, we are reducing depletion of materials, and this can also, see how this can save costs for the company at the long run. Then also we look at waste recycling. A circular economy model reduces material use, redesign material and product and services to be less resource intensive, and recaptures waste as a resource to manufacture new materials and products. Here, we will not forget the 5R, reuse, reduce, repurpose, and recycle, and how putting them into practice will benefit a business. Then we know we have known much about waste recycling, and we know that when we recycle waste, we are simply turning the waste into wealth. Then the company can sell the recycled material. They can even sell the waste to other companies that needed it, thereby making some other profit. So this is one of the ways which we need circular economy and practices in our system. Also, we are looking at health and well-being. Here we're looking at occupational health and safety. A circular economy revealed and designed out the negative impact of economic activity that causes damage to human health and natural system. This includes the release of greenhouse gases and hazardous substances, the pollution of air, land, and water, as well as structural waste and traffic congestion. The indication is that the transition to a circular economy provides a major opportunity to yield substantial health benefits, such as direct benefit to healthcare system and indirect benefit from reducing negative environmental impact. Just like we have said, if we embrace circular economy, this can also impact on the well-being and health of the workers, whereby less pollution will be on the air, and the environment will be more conducive, then the workers will also be able to work in a more conducive environment. And this can also reduce things like downtime and sicknesses. Then we also see how this can benefit the organization at the long run. Then also we look at maximizing opportunity. Through this process, job in more linear business model can be lost. However, new jobs will be created in areas like recycling, repairing, rental services, or in new companies that will emerge promoting innovative uses of recycled material. Then we know that we are transiting to a low carbon economy. What we simply know here is that jobs will be lost also. But when we embrace circular economy, we can be able to create new jobs. At the end of the day, we will have a net job gain, whereby we can be able to replace the jobs that have been lost. Now we look at the job creation. The transition to a circular economy could have a net positive impact on labor market. According to the ILO projection, employment could grow by 0.1% by 2030, meaning that 6 million more jobs could be created in an economy with circular strategies. Also, circular economy could stimulate employment growth in labor-intensive sectors such as services and waste management. Around 50 to 46 million jobs, respectively, can be created. Although this could also cause employment losses, capital-intensive and extractive sectors, such as mining and manufacturing. Just like we have said, that circular economy, it will lead us to net job gain, although there will be job losses from some industries like mining and manufacturing, where there is intensive capital and the extractive sectors. So this is where we might be expecting job losses. But at the end of the road, there will be a net job gain, which is also one of the positive attributes of circular economy. Then we try to define green jobs. Green jobs are jobs which are sustained by economic activities that are more environmentally sustainable than the conventional alternative, and which also offers working conditions that meet acceptable standards of decent work. For the ILO, the concept of green job summarizes the transformation of economies, workplaces, enterprise, and labor markets into a low carbon economy, sustainable economy that provides decent employment opportunities for all. ILO is particularly interested in green jobs. We know that these jobs are jobs that offer more environmentally sustainable attributes, but we're also looking at the decency of it. They have to be decent jobs, and what we know are decent jobs. These are jobs that have appropriate salaries. These are jobs that have conducive environment for workers to work. These are jobs that give freedom of association and the rest of them. So we are not only trying to create green jobs, we're not only trying to promote green jobs, we're also trying to make them decent. Now we look at a decent job involve opportunity to work for work that is productive and deliver a fair income, provide security in the workplace and social protection for workers and their family, for better prospects for personal development, and encourages social integration, gives people the freedom to express their concern to organize and to participate in decisions that affect their lives and guarantees equal opportunity and equal treatment for us. So this is what ILO knows as a decent job, and this is what we try to promote. Then we look at the issues now. Where can these green jobs be created? Where can we find them? We look at the renewable energy sector, jobs in solar panel installation, wind turbine maintenance, energy storage systems, and renewable energy product and development. All this gives an opportunity for creation of green job. For instance, ILO is also looking into training of youths in the area of solar panel installation. This we know that they can offer them some form of employment, and they can also make a living from there. So we are not only we're also looking at it from the practical aspect of it. Then other jobs, green jobs, can also be created in green building and architecture maintenance, careers in sustainable architecture, green building design, and eco-friendly construction materials. This can also create green jobs. We're also looking at sustainable agriculture, opportunities in organic farming, vertical farming, and agricultural technology developed to promote eco-friendly food production. Can also offer, we also know what we know as a smart agriculture. These practices will also offer the creation of green jobs. And what we have been talking in the waste management sector, roles in recycling management, waste reduction, consulting, these are all the circular economy attributes, and they can also provide a lot of green jobs. Then in the tourism sector, there are potential for creating green skills, including forest-based jobs and guides for nature reserve. This is what we know as ecotourism. This has also the capacity of creating green jobs. And we will not also forget environmental consulting and management and all sorts of environmental jobs meant to push up the sustainability of the environment and reduce climate. All these are creating green jobs. Now we look at how can we facilitate green economy, as we know that there are leaders of actually one of the good avenue and platform to discuss how can we facilitate circular economy. First of all, we are looking at policy mainstreaming. We know that the government have the capacity, have the ability, have the mandate to provide enabling enabling environment for organizations to thrive. And in this aspect, policy is one of the main issues. And I can categorically tell you that ILO also is supporting the government in creating some of the policy for job standardization and the rest. So we look at policy development, we look at policy toolkits and guidance and technical assessment and knowledge product. These are some of the policy instruments that is necessary for facilitation of circular economy. And most of this comes from government. It's the government that will provide the enabling environment for organizations to thrive. And we know that ILO is also working with the government in this direction. Then we look at the economic instrument. We look at finance mechanism. Here we can have incentive. For instance, government can give tax rebates for organizations that are embracing a circular economy. And there can be subsidies for their product. There can be new business models. All these are economic instruments that can also facilitate circular economy. Then thirdly, we look at capacity building and training, knowledge sharing, just like we are doing here today. People will be able to learn one or two things and ask questions. And if they want to carry it forward, there are opportunities and grants for further dialogue in this direction for organizations to learn and to also put this into practice. Then we also have sustainable entrepreneurship, business training, green skill acquisition, reskilling, institutional strengthening. These are some of the capacity issues whereby I joined some of the companies here today NECA is also throwing in some aspect of the training for organization, and the ILO is also in this business of training and the reskilling of and also trying to strengthen institutions in this direction. So these topics can be taken further from here and discussed in a more holistic environment. Then we're also looking at the multi-stakeholder partnership. We know that circular economy is not it's not something a company can do on its own. There has to be partnership. Like there are opportunities where you can partner. There are some organizations that may need your waste, and there are some organizations in which some company may need their waste. So there is this opportunity for partnership to work together in order to achieve circular economy, to promote and support, accelerate, and consolidate sustainable changes in both consumption and production pattern. Also, enhance efforts of government and non-profit organizations, increase the engagement with the private sector, just like we are doing here today. So there are numerous opportunities for partnership whereby organizations can be able to learn and also begin to put circularity approaches in their businesses. Now we look at business sustainability. How can circularity make businesses more sustainable? For me, this is one of the important topics we have here today. In spite of the initial capital need, businesses will be more sustainable through circularity. In one way, we are looking at that is effectiveness and efficient use of resources, lowering costs of production. We all know that if companies were able to save their water, save the cost of energy, save the cost of production, at the end of the day, it will lower their cost of production. So it will make the business more sustainable. We also look at reduction of waste production and reuse, which will save costs. If companies were able to reduce their waste production or reuse them or sell them to other companies that need it, we know that they can make some capital from this and also save the overall cost of production. We also look at better health conditions for workers. If they embrace circularity, the environment will be more conducive, less pollution. Workers will fall sick less often, and this will also reduce unnecessary downtime, whereby the hours needed for production will go up. So companies can benefit if their workers' health and well-being are also at the top through circularity. Then we look at improvement of quality of product leading to customer satisfaction. If companies embrace circularity, they will bring innovation into their product. Their product will increase in that way, giving customer satisfaction. The customers will be able to come, will be able to buy the product, and if they are satisfied, they can, make that a regular product. So that can also increase sales and increase sustainability of the company. Then lastly, we look at the profit maximization. If a company is able to save costs through efficient use of resources, reduction of weight, better health condition, and improved quality of product, at the end of the day, they will have a net profit maximization, which we all know will be more sustainable for the company, thereby promoting the company's sustainability and the future. Now, in conclusion, circular economy is not just a concept. It is a pathway toward a more sustainable, equitable, prosperous future for our planet and its inhabitants. As we have explored its characteristic, principle, and importance, it becomes evident that embracing circular economy is not an option, but a necessity for the well-being of current and the future generation. We're also looking at for the organizations that are here. Circular economy is a necessity for your future growth. On this note, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to put into practice some of the approaches that have been highlighted here. It is also our assurance that the International Labour Organization, ILO, we continue to support NECA as it aims towards achieving a diversified circular economy for Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gugwa, for that brilliant presentation. NECA is a member of the International Labour Organization, as well as the International Labour Organization for Employers. We are partnering with the international bodies on this issue, and that's why we have this knowledge sharing session for our teaming members. Thank you. Like I said earlier, if you have comments, questions, please put it in the chat box. During the interactive session, we can also signify for you to make that presentation in question as it's made. We've heard from the International Labour Organization. We want to look at the national perspective this time around. Like in year 2021, the Nigeria Climate Change Act was passed. And we have an agency of government, that's the National Council on Climate Change, that is spearheading this act and directing Nigeria on how to benefit on the climate change issue. So I would like to call on Ms. Jumia Vandu, that's the Principal Chemical Engineer for National Council on Climate Change, to make a presentation on unlocking the potential of a circular economy through policies for businesses. Before I call upon her, I would like to just give you a brief profile about Ms. Vandu. Jumia Vandu is a capable, results-oriented principal chemical engineer and environmentalist with experience in leading high-performance teams and successfully increasing efficiency and productivity while reducing costs and efficiency. She obtained a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the Ahmadu Bello University, a master's degree in international affairs and diplomacy, master's degrees in environmental planning and protection from the University of Abuja. She's currently pursuing a PhD in environmental management from the University of Abuja, among other programs and certification. She is a corporate member of the Nigeria Environmental Society, Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, CUREN, member Nigeria Society of Chemical Engineers, member Nigeria Institute of Management, member Waste Management Association of Nigeria, International Environment Forum, among others. Jumia had experience of planning environmental policies and physical projects in Nigeria, including the establishment of a biogas generation facility, the construction of a briquette facility plants, climate smart waste management programs, a youth and women empowerment initiative, a plastic recycling plant, and other projects across his sector related to addressing the impact of climate change in the economy. Currently, she's working in the Department of Energy, Transportation, and Infrastructure as a principal chemical engineer in the National Council on Climate Change. The NCC is the national designated entity established in 2022 for policymaking, implementation, and climate-related decisions. She works on the National Climate Change Action Plan, long-term low-emission development strategy, just transition, and other cross-cutting issues towards the success of Nigeria nationally determined contribution. I yield the floor to Jumia Vandu for a presentation. You have the floor.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Jumia Vandu from the National Council on Climate Change. And unfortunately, this invitation was extended to the Director General, who is unavoidably absent. The National Council on Climate Change, just as you rightly said, sir, is the nationally designated authority to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And we're currently preparing for the 28th session of the Conference of Parties, which will be holding in Dubai starting from November 30th to December 12th. So the DG is presently having a beehive of activities because he is the one that is going to lead the Nigerian delegation, and we're hoping Nigeria will have a successful outcome at the COP28. But because of how very important the private sector is to all our affairs in the council, he asked me at the last minute to please speak on behalf of council. And today's presentation is, I don't have a prepared presentation, but we're just going to speak. The council was established in 2022 as a result of the National Climate Change Act that was established in 2021. Section 3 of the Climate Change Act of 2021 gives the power to the National Council to make all decisions on climate change related matters in Nigeria. So this is very important. All policies, plans, and programs, we ensure that we align them to across government, across private sectors, civil society organizations, and across all relevant stakeholders in Nigeria for us to be able to transition to a low carbon economy. For us, circular economy is very, very key because the two principles that a National Council of Climate Change will attribute it are waste minimization and resource efficiency. There is no program, no policy that can be sustainable without using the principles of circular economy. So it is very important for us. And the National Climate Change Action Plan, which is the strategy that we are currently implementing, is one that we hope to have a very active engagement with private sector holders. And we're also pushing for is in line also with the 8 priority areas of this present administration, which is food security, ending poverty, economic growth and job creation, access to capital, inclusivity, security, fairness, and rule of law, and anti-corruption processes. So we want to see a National Council on Climate Change activities, programs that will imbibe the principles of circular economy. And in all of this, we will ensure that no one will be left behind. We will try to promote a just and inclusive and a very transparent manner for every job created while integrating a decent work, economic growth, and climate actions, and ensure that the whole transitioning will be fair. The critical sectors to us in National Council on Climate Change, according to our nationally determined contribution, is the power, the oil and gas, the waste, the industries, transport, and water. So in all of these sectors, we will ensure that no one, because they are all climate related, they contribute all their activities, all their actions, they add to our emission level. So in transitioning Nigeria, which is our core mandate, to a low carbon economy, we will see how we open a social dialogue, a social context to promote equity, to ensure that we grant Nigerians access to carbon space development and ensure that no one is left behind. We will create opportunities for people using the circular economy principles. And we have majorly 4 approaches that we intend to see that green growth are protected in promoting and unlocking programs and policies for the circular economy. The first is we will encourage resource efficiency. Our policies and programs and all initiatives that we have established and we are presently implementing will speak to nature-based solutions that will reduce material consumption, that will also optimize production processes and also minimize waste generation. Then the second approach for us in National Council on Climate Change will be to support recycling and waste management processes. By doing this, we hope to see how we will increase recycling targets. We'll see how we can create awareness campaign across recycling because they have a huge potential to see that we're able to transition Nigeria to a low carbon economy. And we'll also promote waste collection infrastructure. In doing this, we hope to have very strategic partnership across government, across MDAs and private sectors as well for us to be able to achieve this, because the council alone cannot achieve this. And that is why for us, it's all about innovative ideas, it's all about partnership for us to be able to extend the interpretation of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. We must take seriously the issue of partnership to be able to do this. Then the third strategy for us for the circular economy will be to foster collaboration and innovation. This is very essential. This is very key to us. Then the fourth will be to promote product design for circularity. We will support businesses to design products that the major focus will be on durability, recyclability, and repairability. What that simply means is that we will see that we will shift away from the linear make, take, dispose approach to a more coherent, more cyclic approach that will promote regenerative economy. Materials will still be in use for a longer period of time. We will aim towards zero waste, because the whole idea behind circular economy is to ensure that nothing ends up to our landfill, nothing goes to waste. So that is why our programs and plans are tilted towards that. We will support any program in their design and help them with a design guideline. That is what we are currently working with right now. Then for us also in National Council on Climate Change, we are taking the issue of COP28, that's the Conference of Parties, very seriously, because it is a year of stocktake. It is a year for Nigerians to be able to sit back and take an inventory. What have we been doing? What do we need to do? And that is why today's program is very essential, is very critical to our road to COP28. The COP28 has majorly two segments. One is the high-level segment, where heads of government will give a national statement on what they have been doing to be able to meet up with their national determined contribution, while the second will be on negotiations. So we are currently preparing a three approach. The first is negotiations, the second is bilateral and partnerships, the third is capacity building, which is similar to, in fact, it's not similar, it's exactly what we're doing here, knowledge sharing, creating awareness around what is happening, what needs to be done, how can people be able to access funds, because businesses in Nigeria, for us to be able to transition to green jobs, we need access to funds. And that is why for us in National Council on Climate Change, we are taking the second priority seriously, which is bilateral and partnerships. That is the only way we can unlock investment and be able to be sure that Nigerians can be able to transition to this green growth. We cannot have green growth in Nigeria without creating that enabling environment, which National Council on Climate Change is working with across all government, across all sectors to see that that happens. But we must be able to access funding. It requires a huge funding. So funding gap is what we hope to take to COP28 to see how we can bring investors into our economy, into our environment, to build Nigerian socioeconomic development. We understand that the issues of climate change, it's a shared problem. It requires a shared solution, and it requires a shared interest. And we are very thankful to NECA for organizing this very wonderful program today, because it will give Nigerians insights into government activities, into government plans, programs, and initiatives towards achieving a circular economy and promoting green jobs for our people. All sectors are critical to National Council on Climate Change. Recently, we had a program where we are currently going to have a program with Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria is a very strategic partner to the NCCC, because we know that our industries contribute about 11% to our GDP. But the sad news is that our industries contribute about 65 million metric tons of CO2 gas emission. That is not good for our environment. So what we are doing is to see that there is a balance. Our environment does not suffer while we can still develop. So how do we do this in a way that will be of balance to Nigerians. That is the responsibility of the National Council on Climate Change. And that is why we are working very hard to create a roadmap for every Nigerian to see that in as much as we are trying to develop, we do not pose additional danger to the environment. We are trying to see how we can align our programs and our policies across all sectors to see that this development that we are craving for will not be at par with the current realities. For right now, our planet is the only life-sustaining planet that we have. We don't want to add more greenhouse gas emissions to our planet because our planet is warming faster than ever. There is the International Panel on Climate Change, which is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is the highest decision-making on climate change issues. This recent 6th assessment report shows that the world is not doing well. The code is red. What that simply means that based on a scientific approach, they are able to say, we need to stop adding greenhouse gas emissions. We need to see how we can produce without increasing the global warming. So we need to take these things very serious. Our planet right now is very fragile. How do we bring it back to a planet of sustainability? That is the question for us. And that is why as Nigerians, we are working very hard. One of the reasons why the National Council on Climate Change was established was to accelerate government efforts to see that we meet up with our NDCs, we're able to get to net zero by 2060 because that was what we pledged to. But we can't even wait for 2060 to begin to take action. Action starts now. Action starts with the private sectors. So we all need to continue to have this kind of meaningful engagement to be able to address the issue of global warming potentials. Recently, if you may remember, one of the most successful protocols that we've ever had in the world is the Montreal Protocol. The Montreal Protocol was successfully implemented to phase out products and processes that contribute to warming potential. There were cities that were depleting the ozone faster than ever, and they were completely phased out. So if we can achieve that, I want to believe that we'll also achieve our Paris Agreement, where we also pledge to net zero by 2060. But we need to change our consumption pattern. We need to have a rethink. We need to promote circularity across all sectors, across everything that we do. The change starts from you, it starts from me, it starts from each and every one of us. We need to learn to reduce. We need to learn to be able to minimize the waste that is being generated. So these kind of processes are things that we need to continuously take the message to every Nigerian, not just to us within this platform, but to every Nigerian. Circular economy is just for policies and programs and plans. It is for every Nigerian. No one should contribute to more waste generation. Promote reuse, promote recycling, promote reduction of waste. And on this note, I want to wish each and every one of us very fruitful deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jumia, for that wonderful presentation, as well as sharing your perspective for the country on the nationally determined contribution, as well as the preparation for the COP28. NECA has over 4,000 members, and we believe that we are good partners in ensuring a reduction of this global emission. So we seek better collaboration with the Commission, NCC, for us to ensure or to achieve Nigeria's Agenda 2060. Thank you very much. Like I said earlier, please let's put our comments in the chat box. While we go to the next presentation, we want to look at private sector perspective this time around. We've heard from the International Labour Organization. We've heard from the National Climate Change Commission. Now, I want to share with you Dr. Itwa. Dr. Itwa is the Chief Executive Officer of Natural Eco Capital. Also, Dr. Itwa is a council member of the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association. He will be speaking to us on innovation and design, the role of business in circular economy. That's the profile of Dr. Itwa. He is very loaded. I will just, I think it's too loaded for me to start rendering now. So, Dr. Itwa, you have the floor. You can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Shola. I think I tried. Can you see my screen?
Not now. You can see, but maybe your screen you can.
Maybe you. Can you see it again?
Absolutely now. You can go ahead. We can see it.
Okay.
We're in slide mode.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you very much once again. We applaud NECA working with SEC and then now with Natural Capital to run this very program. I think this is the second in the series of what we're doing to create awareness, build capacity, and help people to take decisions. Interestingly, my dear lady and Steve had already created a whole lot of information on what I might call the preamble. So I would not want to say anything in that regard. Or suffice it to say, rather than see circular economy as a concept now, it is actually indeed a practice. A practice of take, make, use, reuse, remake, recycle, and so on and so forth. In that cyclical form, continues to go around the loop. You may have talked about one thing, no waste. And indeed, Steve mentioned that much earlier. So in this concept, and indeed in the practice, we do not expect any waste. Resources are used in creating materials, products, services that are kept within the loop. Again, if we adopt circular economy practices in our maintenance, in our reuse, in our refurbishment or remanufacturing, recycling or composting, you will discover that you are indeed demonstrating the principle and indeed the practice of circular economy. Again, our dear lady from SEC had talked about the world's focus, the challenges that the world is facing today. And what we can do. And what we can do generally is adopting this economy, circular economy. Because circular economy provides the principle that ensures we do not abuse the environment. Ensures that biodiversity laws are kept in check. Ensures that even the raw material that provides, or rather the resource, the raw material we derive from the environment, we use as raw material for the product we get, we do not run out of them. Here it talks about underpinning by transition to renewable energy material, the circular economy is resilient, or assist us to become more and more resilient to the challenges we're facing today in designing out waste and ensuring no pollution, keeping products and materials in use, and of course, the regenerative aspects of it. But what are the drivers? The rising energy costs. Today, we are running out of water. Areas you would not think will run out of water are running out of water. What about materials? The same thing. I think it was only last week here that a few days ago, there was this newspaper headline of the amount of money the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, or the manufacturers in Nigeria, are owing the banks. What would have led to that? We are talking of the issues of the challenges we have with our own foreign exchange today. For instance, the exchange of dollar into naira or naira into dollar. How many of these manufacturers out there can exchange with that value and retain a profit or make a profit? If they do not have that capacity to exchange at that value, will they have the capacity to pay the loans they've taken? It becomes a challenge. And these are the things they never prepared for. The existing environmental regulation, good enough, NCCC just spoke. The Climate Change Act, that trust responsibility on each and every one of us, and indeed corporates or entities that have at least not less than 50 employees. What about business reputation? It's also one of the key things. People also, more than ever before, want to voluntarily report, demonstrate that they are doing what is right. Not only in the eyes of the law, but generally. But why is this important? With this, collectively, we're able to protect the environment. We improve our economics. We just talk about raw material that the manufacturers, with some imports. Even locally here, the aspect that has nothing to do with foreign exchange. You go to the streets, somebody roasting corn will tell you, oh, the corn, the price of plantain, corn, they've all gone up because dollar has gone up, the exchange rate. But the question is, how come? Take note, there are also aspects of it that will have nothing to do with externalities. They are within the domain of the manufacturer, for instance. I give you an example. If a manufacturing company has circular economy principle in mind, for instance, if they are measuring, when they are taking raw material to be part of the process, they would measure. But take note, in the course of doing that, scooping from one container or the other to another, they spill the materials. Behavior, loss of material, environmental burden. It impacts negatively on the economics. What about social justice as well? It's also there. Generally, for businesses, you will be seen to have done what is good environmentally speaking. Employee health and well-being will also be improved, because they do their things in a manner that health and safety are taken into consideration. Materials, for instance, that will go to waste or emit, because they are contained, they don't lose their value. They retain their integrity, and they do not impact the employees as well. Their cost savings goes with it. What about reputation that we just talked about? It's also one of the things that businesses must take into consideration. Just to say, simply put, we are able to generate more eco-friendly products, and we're also able to make choices. In fact, all of us, it encourages us to change our behavior in the way we act. We're also able to contribute increasingly to productivity. And we just talked about health and safety aspects. And then influence and encourage more people to make sustainable decisions in their own lives, because you have adopted that principle. You support to reduce costs and create value in core business areas as circularity of resource flows during operation increases. Generally, this summarizes the opportunities: innovation, reduce impact, reduce emissions. What about business growth and job creation? Earlier, Stevie had talked about job creation. And just to add that, he talked about the mining sector. If the mining sector stopped carrying out the activities in a manner that is dirty, what it implies that green jobs will come into it. Jobs that are clean, there will be a shift from such dirty jobs to cleaner jobs. And indeed, there will be increase in job creation. What about investment? It encourages investment. We are also able to adapt to the challenges we're facing today. And then we contribute generally to sustainable future. The cost of doing business, we're also able to lower it. What about even saving money? Yes, if you are able to map as a manufacturer, let me give the manufacturing sector. If you're able to look at your production process, map the entire production flow from one stage to the other. There are three, let me just say one key thing that will come out. There's something we call non-product output. You envisage a product to come out, but sometimes non-product output comes out. You might consider that to be waste. You might even want to rework what you're not supposed to rework because of mishandling, malfunction, or just name it. Could it be that the mixture of your raw materials were not done right? But just try. Start from your process of stage one. You could call it elementary. You measure. If you are doing, for instance, painting, or you produce paint, just check. And one of the areas you will lose something valuable is tilting. And it depends on the kind of equipment you are using. So just look at it from one process flow to the other. And you will see the environmental body tied to each of those stages. But of course, with the principle of circular economy in mind, you will be able to do something to that. Take notes, this has nothing to do with the external forces or externalities, let me put it that way. Things that you do not have control over. Internally, you have control over how you run your production process. But do you abuse raw materials? If you put 10 kg raw material into it, are you still expecting 10 kg worth of goods, or will it be 6? What happened to the 4? Well, you can only know if you map it adequately. But who are those driving this change? You are there. The government is there. And of course, the consumer increasingly are saying, we are interested in recycled material. We're interested products that are more environment friendly, and so on and so forth. So you have all of that. In addition, what could you now really say the private sector is, this is our role? A great role to play in all of this. Take notes, you have been described as the engine that drives inclusive and sustainable growth. You are also vital in creating jobs and ensuring that the oil of the economy is, or rather the wheel of the economy is oiled. And so there is need for us to reflect on this position in the light of circular economy. Take note that you have so much to contribute. It is said that the private sector cannot do it alone. And indeed, the budgetary provisions cannot even meet the expectations. So in other words, public budget or the public sector cannot do it all alone. The private sector has the muscle in terms of investment, in terms of research and development, in terms of the drive to do things, and indeed, to quickly take action. So you are there to crystallize whatever has been said. And for whatever it is that we have seen, each day, whether you are big or you are small, we continue to receive this memo that makes us to seek ways to participate in the environmental and climate revolution of the day. How do we deal with the challenges of biodiversity and nature loss? It's a question that continues. And a highlight of what will happen at COP28 has been given by the rep of NCCC. And nature is going to feature heavily. Whether you are small or you are big, it ties to you. It matters to you. We must all look for ways of adopting this principle or this practice. In addition, just to say that in adopting this, what are the kind of things you want to take into consideration? Remember how the practices that we must ensure are there. Improving energy usage, material usage as well. How efficient is it? The virtualization of physical products is also one of it that you want to take into consideration. Specifically, we must find a way of maximizing the efficient use of resources. We continue to talk about resources because some of us will say, oh, to bring in more new equipment, we do not have the resources. To change entire processes, we do not have money. But there are things you can do within your capacity without having to spend so much. Could that be training? I talked about measuring today, scooping from the bag, from the container, or whatever, your raw material. In the course of spill, it's like rice, for instance, you're scooping rice from the bag. We spill some grains. The grains go to the environment, becomes an environmental body that needs to be managed. But at the same time, it's economic loss per se. If you continue to measure the amount of grains you lose in that manner, you discover that it's much. So in other words, attitude, behavior of those in charge of that. And how do you change that? Perhaps training. And that is one of the reasons we're doing this program as well. Understanding newer way, or even the way we have done things before. Can we flip the coin and see that, yes, could it be better? It's possible. Again, we'll now talk about the fundamental redesign of materials, products, and value creations. This requires quite enormous work. But just to let you know, ultimately, they reduce the negative environmental impact of emissions and resource waste that naturally accompany the consumption of physical goods. I recall when we had a retreat for man some time ago, somebody had said that, look, there is a challenge. And what is the challenge? That one of the subnationals, Waste Management Agency, is saying that we must bring out waste for them to manage. But we have changed our system. We no longer bring out waste. We have reduced our waste. But however, they want us to bring out waste. And so they have a challenge with the agency in charge of managing waste. I think such an agency ought to encourage that organization to even do more. But of course, you see, it requires changing the mindset of some of us. Product as a service, of course, these are some of the initiatives we want to bring about. Offering product on a subscription basis with recycling and refurbishment built in it, or design for sustainability. What it means, designing product with longevity and recyclability in mind. Specific action that we must do. Rent or lease assets, equipment. For instance, some of us going to some route do not drive. You take Uber, you take boat. It's based on the principle of circular economy. And not too long ago, I noticed that the traffic on some locations, especially in Lagos, and then other states, Abuja, reduced when the fuel subsidy issue came up. And people were now joining, if they are going to one direction, using one vehicle. Innovative ideas. They look simple, but they're innovative. The cost savings be tied to that. If I have to bring my vehicle, you bring out your vehicle, and all of us are heading to the same direction, the emission that comes out from it impacts the environment. The cost associated with buying fuel also. We also want to look for equipment services that can be used to optimize equipment life cycle. We can reuse and redeploy assets like a building's mechanical system that are already available, rather than reinvest in new one, reinvest in new one. Why don't reuse assets at the end of their life cycle? In fact, why don't we generally embrace sustainable cleaning products? You still go to some hotels. The cleaners would have cleaned whatever. They will leave the light on, leave the television on, leave the AC on. To what extent? To what end? What do they want? It's all lost. Consider sensors that automatically switch lights off. So there are things we must do. Energy and material savings, replacement of fossil energy sources, renewables, replacement and disposal of hazardous substances, waste recycling and waste water treatment, production processes based on less energy consumption, and indeed improving recyclability, which we talked about earlier. We have talked about all of this just as emphasis. Product innovation and redesign, circular supply chain itself is also there. Why not also collaborate? Invest in R&D, and then consumer engagement. Policy advocacy, we can do more and more of this, perhaps, as we move along. Maybe with NECA, we'll come up with some of this, the certificate that can be issued based on the continued professional development that we are working on as far as this is concerned. When you do all of this, you will have great services, you have great products. As emphasis, this shows what we can do, the directions, the transition path we can follow, circular supplies, resource recovery, product life extension, sharing platform, product as a service. All of these have been mentioned in one way or the other. And so when you want to embark on the road, on this journey, if you have not yet, why don't you know what you're doing? I've talked about some area you can do your measurement. Commit yourself to doing what you want to do regarding this, and then see how you manage it, report it, and then check what progress you are making. So ladies and gentlemen, in all of this, we want to know there are opportunities for the private sector. It increases efficiency. It improves our brand value and reputation. Indeed, it provides a platform for innovation and it helps attract esteemed talent. So we leave this to you to reflect on and see how you can strengthen what you're already doing in this direction. Or if you have not started the journey, how you can start something. You have the power, you have the resources to be able to do this. They are within what you can do before you scale up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Itwa, for that presentation. I think we've all been loaded with the opportunities that are therein for private sector, whether the big, the medium, and even the small skills as well. The opportunities that are therein in circular economy. Thank you very much for that presentation. And we've really opened our mind to those areas. Next on the agenda, it's another private sector presentation, right? Because we believe that we are the people that are emitting all these emissions. And I'll yield the floor to Victoria Nwaduka, who is the Corporate Communications, Public Affairs, and Sustainability Manager for Nestle Nigeria. Just a brief about Victoria. Like I said, she's a public relations professional with over 20 years experience, spanning multiple industries, including the entertainment, beauty and healthcare, ICT, and now she's in the food and beverages. She's responsible for building and sustaining Nestle Nigeria image, influence, and reputation. Also, she manages the company's communications, public affairs, and sustainability priority. Since joining Nestle in December 2016, Victoria has significantly increased and sustained the company's superior share of voice in the market year on year. She brings Nestle commitment to protecting and regenerating the environment for future generations to life through proactive sustainability initiatives. Working in collaboration with internal and external stakeholders, she strengthens and highlights Nestle's social impact by building synergies between the company and its core stakeholders and communities, and by telling the company's impact story across multiple touch points. Victoria is passionate about building connections and creating opportunities for people and communities to achieve their maximum potential. She leverages insights gained from working with a broad variety of businesses, decision makers, influencers, and governments to help organizations drive business and social impact by enhancing relevant communication and relationship management strategies. Listed on GLG Communications PR Power List of 2023, Victoria has been recognized as one of the 15 Nigerian PR and communications professionals who have made significant impacts and who leverage PR to make a difference in business and in society. As a strong advocate of Africa's potential, she promotes positive action to accelerate equitable developments on the continent, reiterating her belief that as African communicators, we have a responsibility to represent and reflect the realities, challenges, and opportunities of our continent. It is our duty to tell the true African stories. That's a quote from Victoria. Our electric career started in the logistic industry with IAS as International Operations Manager. She subsequently worked in beauty and healthcare industry before joining SESEMER Public Relations Agency. From there, she joined Microsoft Nigeria as Public Relations and Event Manager, where she oversaw the launch of 7 new products and grew the company's share of voice by over 70% before her appointment as Marketing Communication Manager for Microsoft in West Africa and Central Africa. There, she managed the company's reputation and image while leading the digital transformation agenda. Victoria is the chairman of the Technical Committee of Corporate Communications and public affairs expert of the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA, and has served as the chairman, Lagos PR Industry Gala and Awards since 2019. I would like to add to her profile, which wasn't sent to me. She's also the vice chairman of NECA Employers Summits 1 and 2, I think for 2 good years. I think that shows the caliber of person of Victoria. So I yield the floor to you, Victoria, for your presentation on.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to get the opportunity to present my slides. For some reason, I do not have that possibility. Would you present on my behalf since you have it?
Okay.
You would like to put it on presentation mode, please. Starting from slide 1.
My assistant.
Okay. Or maybe if you give me hosting rights, I can present from here as well.
Yeah, OPEC, you can give her hosting rights. And
Does. And go
I'm
ahead.
sorry?
And go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay. Just give me a moment while I find that. For some reason, I still don't have it. I still don't have that. Okay. Okay. If you will start from the slide 1, then I'll try and walk through that. But I wish you could put it in presentation mode. Anyone there?
I'm with you. I'm trying to.
Okay.
From my hand too. I think from my hand is the best I can do.
Oh, okay. You can't make it full screen. Okay, all right. I will start. I'll start the presentation. Sorry everyone about that. Sometimes technology works. That's something that you learn as you go along. So we're speaking to the circular economy, and Mr. Agugwa, Jumai, and Mr. Itwa have really spoken to a lot of the concepts. So I will just talk about the benefits of sustainability for the private sector. And I will look at my slides while we do that. So basically, we've talked about what the circular economy is. What is it? It's, aims to minimize waste. And as I think it was Jumai that said that, to improve or to optimize the use of resources. And going forward, what are the benefits for the private sector? Mr. Agugwa talked about job creation, and we'll talk a little bit about that and what that has been for us in our organization. If we could go to the next slide, please. Now, please go to the next slide. The next one. Thank you. So, all the speakers have really talked about what the circular economy is. It's about, use, sorting, and also reusing, right? Some call it remanufacturing and all of that. And there's so many things that are involved ensuring a holistic, very actually secular economy. And what we found in industry is that it is something that Mr. Ito has said is no longer about a concept, it's actually about a practice, it's about a behavior, not just as organizations, but as people themselves. So I won't dwell too much on this slide. Go to the next one, please. Okay, so what are the benefits of the circular economy for the private sector? We've talked about the opportunity to save costs and to actually optimize profits, and also ensuring that we're doing what is right for the economy. So a truly circular economy, it's not just a thought, it's not just an action, but it's the only pathway. It's actually an efficient pathway for a more sustainable economic model. A secular economy or a secular mindset is pro-environment, is pro-resource efficiency, and it's about creating new jobs, the green jobs. We've spoken quite a lot about that. What are those green jobs and what are the opportunities? How can we grow our ecosystem? So these are some of the benefits for the private sector, in addition to all that we've been already that we've discussed today by the other speakers. If we could go to the next slide, please. Now, there are challenges and barriers for the private sector because, a lot of times we talk about, oh, the private sector has the muscle, we have this, we have that. But, there is so much going on in the world right now that you might think that the investment in the circular economy is too high of a cost, is a very high cost of investment for us to start within the circular economy. So that is a challenge. And this high cost of investment is an initial situation, is an initial phase, because to kickstart a truly circular economy, there has to be a lot to close the infrastructure gap, right? And then, of course, there's a lot of value chain fragmentation, and if we begin to think about the linkages within those value chain players and those value chain sectors, then yes, of course, it's a high cost of investment in terms of financial resources, in terms of human resources, in terms of time. So these are things that we need to think about at the beginning. There's also a lack of awareness, and Mr. has spoken a lot about this. There's a whole lot of lack of awareness of what a circular economy really is. And of course, if you're trying to collaborate with all the players, all the stakeholders within this ecosystem, there is a whole lot of lack of awareness that exists in that area. That's why a session like this is super important, to begin to grow that awareness, to sensitize us around the benefits of a circular economy, how to implement a circular economy, and how to benefit from a circular economy. So these are some of the challenges that we have. Of course, we all operate in our various silos. You have the manufacturers, you have the users, you have the waste pickers, you have the aggregators, you have the transformers, you have those who are really working on research and really looking at innovations around how to use this packaging waste. So every sector is really doing a lot, but we're operating in silos and we're trying to close that gap. That's where that happens. And of course, there's the issue of regulatory uncertainty, because some of us are not even aware of the regulations or the policies. And that's why a session like this is important, so we can have more awareness around that. What is the policy around climate change? What's the policy around waste management? What is the policy around, end user responsibility? What are all those policies and how do they play? And how can our organizations key into that and be compliant with those recommendations? Why are they useful, and what role will they have to play, not just for us being good for the environment, but being good for our businesses as well? And it's on this note that I will share some of the experiences that we've had at Nestle, taking that path and walking that path of activating a circular economy around our production. So what was our approach? And I think we talked about this a little bit. One first step that we took was to identify the opportunities. And in identifying the opportunities, we looked at benchmarking how circular economy, sustainability practices can lead to lower input costs for us as a business, right? Leading to reduction of cost of power, cost of water, cost of materials, cost of packaging, right? We looked at where those opportunities lie, and we were assured, through our research that eventually, our profitability will be boosted through lower input costs across all the various inputs that we need to produce, whether it's in the raw materials, the agricultural raw materials, whether it's in the packaging materials, whether it's in energy costs and all of that. So we really had a benchmark assessment of what those opportunities are, and we looked at the projects that we could identify, and that's the next step, identifying the projects that we need to put in place to take this benefit that comes from the circular economy. And Nestle, there's something that is really critical, and it's embedded in the way we do business. We think about creating shared value. So not only good for the environment, but good for our business as well. And so that, we are looking at not only our business results, but we're looking at our results and our impact on the environment, on the society in which we operate. So what were the things that we identified? One is that we had to achieve plastic neutrality. That means that the same volume of plastics that we put into the environment, we're able to take back from the environment. This was a key project identification for us. And I'm very happy to announce that we were very close to 100% in 2023. And by the end of 2023, we would have arrived at 100% plastics neutrality. The same quantity of plastics that we put into the environment, we would have collected all of it, 120%, 110% by the end of this year. So this was a super commitment for us, and it's something that sits even within my objectives for the year. So I'm not only measured in how many pieces of news articles I have, or how I'm able to engage, or how I'm able to drive policy. Plastic neutrality is core to my role, is core to my boss's role. So it's from the bottom up and from the top down. Everybody is invested in this. Now, the second project that we are working on is in reducing virgin plastics. And I'll talk about a few of the ways that we've been able to do this already, and we're still on that journey. And then the third thing is around sustainable packaging. Packaging is being renovated as we speak. We have projects from now till 2024, and this year we are bound to arrive at 65% of transforming our packaging designed from the beginning for recycling. That is something that is really core, and we have a team and we have project leads working on this. We report back every month consistently, and we report to not just the regional office, but to the Africa office on the progress that we're making, which fits into our global commitment to make sure that by 2025, all our packaging will be recyclable. This is our ambition at Nestle. And then, of course, we looked at caring for water, because sometimes in Africa, we think that water is a resource that we don't have to think about. But Mr. Etwa has spoken to it, and I think Jumai spoke to this as well. We're seeing water scarcity in places where they never existed before. And we're all extracting water in a country like ours, where each of us digs a borehole, instead of having a central water supply system. That is a critical impact on the environment. So we're looking at caring for water. We're doing a benchmark assessment. We're looking at the aquifer. We're looking at the water ecosystem, and of course, working very diligently to reduce use of water. We're working with other stakeholders. One sure stakeholder that has come to the table with us over the past 3 years is the Ogun State Ministry of Environment, who are working very closely with us, to drive other stakeholders around our projects to reduce our impact or the extraction from the aquifer. All right. So now please go back to, yes, that's the slide that we're still on. And of course, we're working on energy reduction. One of the very simple things that we've done is to change all our lighting system to energy saving bulbs. And we've seen quite an impact in the cost of energy for us, and we drive this awareness amongst our team members, reduce the use of power, switch off lights after use, using sensors in very critical places to reduce that energy consumption. So these are some of the projects that we've identified and that we have team leaders, we have drivers around, and we're working on it. Now, the third thing that we did was to look at building capability. Because until the past 5 years, I don't think that sustainability was anything that was sitting on anyone's core capability profile. But we identified that this is an area that we need to build capability around, both internally and externally. So we started by sharing the vision, sharing our commitment from the bottom up, from the top down, from the board, from the management committee. We all took the training, we all invested in it and understood what our commitment is and what each of us brings to the table around these commitments, and ensured that all our team members were carried along in this. And we started some projects within our team, like the employee plastics collection scheme, like reduce single-use plastics across all our sites. So these are internal projects that we're driving to really raise the awareness, because I think it starts with us so that we can go out and actually drive this behavior in our families, amongst our friends, amongst our communities, and also the wider ecosystem. Now, I've said already that sustainability commitments, climate commitments are built into our business processes and are built into our personal commitments, and we're being evaluated on this very, very efficiently. Now, we're also driving behavior change internally and externally. I've mentioned some of the things that we've done internally, externally as well. We've done quite a bit of work. We're working with the Food and Beverage Recycling Alliance. We sponsor and support and are on feet on ground in communities to really create awareness and improve behavior around how we use, reuse, and sort and manage plastics and other wastes within our homes and within our ecosystems as well. Yes, and I've talked about collaborating with relevant stakeholders. That's why it's really a pleasure for me to be here to share our experiences on a forum like this, because I think that the more we create awareness, the more we talk about it, the more we change our behavior, the better it is for all of us. So really, thank you, NECA. Thank you, ILO. Thank you, everyone who is part of this this process to put this event in place. I'll ask you to please go to the next slide, where I'll just share a few examples. Now, what are our actions? You know, and Nestle, we say that we're a force for good, not just as an organization, but in now, one of the things that we've done is to I know that sometimes, right, but you know, it was done very deliberately to reduce the plastics that go into the manufacture of these bottles. You know, because as long as we reduce the weight, reduce the amount of plastic that we use, we're not just only reducing cost, but we're also reducing the amount of plastic that ends up back in the environment that we have to collect and put back, you know, through our processes. And we're working towards, you know, achieving bottle to bottle right here in Nigeria. So watch out for more news around that to come. All right. And our bottles are fully recyclable from the top down to every part of it. Now, what we're working on is the labels and the other multi-layer plastics, you know, like the sachets and all of that. And I will speak just a little bit about what we're doing in that direction. The second thing that we're doing to reduce as well is to, you know, optimize the packaging. Because if you notice in the past, maybe the packaging, the products were here, and then the packaging was this big. And what we're doing is to optimize those packaging to ensure that they are fit for purpose. So you're going to be seeing smaller packages. It doesn't mean that the product inside is less. It just means that we're using less packaging material, less plastics, and that helps us to reduce the amount of plastics that we are putting out into the environment. In reduce and reuse, now to transport the finished products, usually, you know, we're using this stretch material, plastic stretch material, you know, for the external packaging. Now we've changed it. I don't know if you can see it clearly on that screen since we're not in full screen. We've changed it to a mesh material, a net mesh material, which we're reusing. We reuse them, bring them back, reuse them, and they are fully recyclable at the end of shelf life. This has helped us not only reduce cost, but also reduce our use of virgin plastic, within our ecosystem, and also whether they're recycled, reduce that use of plastic by using this net mesh that very efficient in packaging, not just the cartons, but our raw materials. We use those materials as well to package, reuse them, clean them, reuse them until we're no longer able to use them, and then we recycle. Now, also, I spoke a little bit about water. We're reducing our use of water, and we're also reusing water. So we save rainwater, we harvest rainwater, and we use it in our production. We use it for cooling our boilers. We use it, in the washrooms and all of that. We're really using that. And then the water from our production, we actually recycle it and use it in our production as well, through especially cooling the boilers, using them in the washrooms and all of that. So this is some of the stuff that we do. And actually we have a water reservoir, the saved rainwater, the recycled water from our production. We put it there, and we have a fire truck, and we use this to serve the community whenever there's a fire. The community actually calls on Nestle because we respond faster than any other, to help contain fire emergencies within our communities, especially in the Agbara community. So these are where we're seeing the environment. Behavior change, employee here, and I'm happy to announce that in every month on month, the amount of plastics that our team members bring in for recycling, these materials are picked up by Chanja Dati in the north and picked up by recyclers here in Lagos, and we're spreading it across our other factories. And what has happened is that we've seen our MPs going to their neighborhoods, going to their families, and bringing plastics from their environment back into the office that we're here for effect and impact. Now, we talked about the community sensitization, and we're working with FBRA, Recyclers, ACI, Chanja Dati, all the relevant stakeholders to drive awareness within the ecosystem, and also on maintaining good hygiene, maintaining safety as they collect and recycle, and also to ensure that we're respecting human rights across the value chain, from collection to transformation. We're also working with Invest in Recycling to get our plastic waste from bottle to bottle. These are just some of the examples of, supporting programs, supporting awareness initiatives, creating awareness through the media, through programs, and all of that. So really, our call to action to all of us, because this is us industry. The circular economy presents opportunities, not just to protect the climate. And if we're going to protect the environment, if that was the only thing that we were able to do, that would be very, very important. As Jumai said, we only have one planet. That's all that we have. But in addition to that, it actually helps you to optimize your